Chapter 5. Scout begins to notice the growing distance between herself and her older brother Jem, as well as their friend Dill. The two boys are becoming more independent, often going off on their own without including her. This leaves Scout feeling somewhat isolated and left out of their adventures. She expresses her feelings of loneliness, observing that Dill and Jem are developing a deeper bond, while she struggles to fit into their evolving dynamic. In an effort to cope with her feelings, Scout finds solace in spending time with Miss Maudie Atkinson, a kind and independent neighbor who enjoys tending to her garden. Miss Maudie is a sharp contrast to the other women in the town and takes delight in discussing various topics, including her own personal views on religion and society. Through their conversations, Miss Maudie offers Scout a more progressive perspective on life in Maycomb, which Scout finds comforting. During one of their talks, Miss Maudie opens up about Boo Radley. She shares her belief that Boo is still alive and that the gossip surrounding him is mostly unfounded. Miss Maudie describes Boo as a victim of his father's harshness and the town's judgment, presenting him as a human being rather than the monster that the townspeople have made him out to be. Miss Maudie also takes the opportunity to criticize the Foot-Washing Baptists, a group in Maycomb that adheres to a very strict interpretation of religion. She mocks their disapproval of things like the enjoyment of life and Miss Maudie's love of her flowers. Her independent views provide a refreshing contrast to the narrow-mindedness of many in the town. Meanwhile, Jem and Dill's fascination with Boo Radley intensifies. The two boys come up with a plan to try to make Boo come outside and interact with them. They come up with the idea of sending Boo a note, encouraging him to come out of his house and join them for a conversation. The note is written in a playful and friendly manner, suggesting that Boo should come out for some ice cream if he wants to. They enlist Scout to help with their plan, although she's hesitant to get involved in such a risky endeavor. The plan involves sneaking up to the Radley house and trying to slip the note through the window. Jem and Dill want to make sure they don't get caught by Boo's brother Nathan Radley or any other adults, so they ask Scout to keep watch for any potential dangers. Though she feels uncomfortable about the situation, Scout agrees to be the lookout, even though she's unsure about the ethics of their actions. She remains hidden in the shrubbery while the boys attempt to get the note to Boo. The chapter explores the increasing complexity of Scout's relationships with her brother and their friend Dill as they grow older and begin to take on new challenges and adventures. It also highlights Scout's evolving understanding of the world around her, especially through her conversations with Miss Maudie, who provides both wisdom and a counterpoint to the prejudiced attitudes prevalent in Maycomb. The mystery of Boo Radley also deepens as the children continue their attempts to interact with him, setting the stage for future developments in the novel. In Chapter 6 of To Kill a Mockingbird, Jem, Scout, and Dill are spending the evening together in Maycomb, enjoying their last moments with Dill before he returns to Meridian. As the three friends sit by Miss Rachel's fishpool, they watch the moon rise and make playful observations about the town. Dill, ever the trickster, suggests they go for a walk, though Scout is suspicious of his intentions. Dill's suggestion to visit the Radley house seems odd, but after some convincing from Jem, Scout reluctantly agrees to tag along. The children, full of curiosity and the desire to know more about the mysterious Boo Radley, sneak across the yard and carefully make their way to the Radley house. They attempt to avoid detection by crawling under a fence and moving silently through the dark, moonlit garden. Their aim is to peek inside the house and possibly catch a glimpse of Boo, whom they believe is hidden away within. The suspense builds as they approach the house. Jem leads the way, and Dill and Scout follow. Jem helps Dill climb up to a window, but Dill sees nothing but curtains and faint light, which leaves the children disappointed. However, the tension rises when Jem ventures further and attempts to look into another window. As he places his foot on the creaky step of the porch, the children hear a shadowy presence moving near them. Jem freezes, and the atmosphere becomes thick with dread. Dill and Scout, scared but unable to leave, are equally tense. Suddenly, the shadow of a man appears, seemingly walking along the porch toward Jem, causing him to freeze in fear. The shadow moves past Jem, and the children sense that they are not alone. When the shadow recedes, Jem, filled with terror, quickly leads the group back to safety, dashing through the collared patch and across the yard. The adventure takes a turn for the worse when a shotgun blast echoes through the night, adding a jolt of panic to their already frayed nerves. Mr. Nathan Radley has fired a warning shot at them. The children run for cover and escape to the schoolyard, where they briefly separate from Jem in their desperate flight. Jem struggles to escape from the fence, managing to free himself and reach the safety of a nearby oak tree. The children make their way back home as quickly as they can, but once they reach the front yard, they notice a group of neighbors gathered at the Radley gate. Mr. Nathan Radley stands with his shotgun, while Atticus, Miss Maudie, Miss Stephanie, and others discuss the situation. They explain that Mr. Radley shot at a Negro in his garden, though the shot missed. Mr. Radley seems to be on edge, convinced that anyone in his yard at night must have sinister intentions. The children are nervous, but their escape from the Radley house remains a secret for the time being. The scene shifts to an awkward moment when Jem is questioned about his missing pants. The neighbors, who have gathered after hearing the gunshot, see Jem in his shorts and are curious about why he's not wearing pants. Dill, in an attempt to cover for Jem, claims that they were playing strip poker by the fishpool. The adults are confused, and Miss Rachel, alarmed by the suggestion of gambling, immediately becomes upset. The children's lie helps cover their tracks, but Atticus later scolds them for the foolishness of their actions, specifically condemning the game of poker. Despite the tension, Dill finds comfort in the fact that Atticus will likely smooth things over with Miss Rachel. As the night winds down, the children feel the weight of their actions. They realize that they had been reckless and, in many ways, lucky to escape without further consequences. Scout especially is haunted by the events, her mind still reeling from the fear of Boo Radley and the strange shadow they saw. The next morning, as they prepare for the day, Jem and Scout are anxious, knowing that they can't keep their secret forever. The thrill of their adventure is tempered by the realization that their curiosity about Boo Radley may have led them too far into dangerous territory. Despite their nerves, they find comfort in their usual routine, but the memory of that night lingers. In this chapter, Harper Lee delves into themes of childhood curiosity, fear of the unknown, and the tension between innocence and recklessness. The children's fascination with Boo Radley continues to grow, as does the mystery surrounding his reclusive existence. This chapter sets the stage for the coming revelations about Boo and the broader themes of prejudice, fear, and understanding that will unfold as the story progresses. The moment of fear at the Radley house serves as a powerful reminder that sometimes our curiosity can lead us into situations that are beyond our understanding or control. The narrative also hints at the growing maturity of the children as they begin to comprehend the consequences of their actions, particularly in relation to the complex dynamics of their small town. Chapter 7. Jem remains withdrawn and moody for a week after the events surrounding their late-night visit to the Radley house. Scout, reflecting on her father Atticus's advice, tries to understand Jem's behavior by climbing into his skin and walking around in it, attempting to empathize with his feelings. She recognizes the trauma of what happened when Jem had gone back to retrieve his pants, and how he was left feeling shaken by what he found when he returned to the Radley fence. For Scout, the emotional distance between them feels significant, and she chooses to leave him alone, not wanting to add to his burden. School begins, and Scout finds the second grade even worse than the first. The dull and monotonous teaching methods frustrate her, as the curriculum still revolves around flashcards instead of encouraging students to read or write. Miss Caroline, Scout's teacher, seems to be having difficulty, and Scout notices that the same group of classmates from the previous year have flunked and are repeating the grade. However, she finds comfort in the fact that she and Jem now walk home together each afternoon at 3 o'clock, a daily routine that serves as a small consolation for the otherwise oppressive nature of school. One afternoon, while walking home, Jem suddenly speaks up. For the first time in days, he breaks his silence, telling Scout about something he had never shared before, the night when he had gone back for his britches after running away from the Radley place. He describes how the pants had been tangled when he tried to escape, but when he returned for them, they had been neatly folded across the fence, almost as if someone had been expecting him. Jem is clearly disturbed by this, especially when he notices that the stitching had been done in a way that suggested it wasn't the work of a skilled seamstress, but rather something done hastily, almost as if someone had tried to mimic the act of sewing. This unsettling realization leads Jem to feel as though someone had been able to predict his actions, almost reading his mind. Scout tries to reassure him, but Jem remains disturbed by the mystery surrounding his discovery. Later, the two children pass by their secret tree, which has been a source of mystery ever since they began finding small gifts hidden in its knothole. On this occasion, they find a ball of gray twine. Scout urges Jem not to take it, suggesting that it might belong to someone else, perhaps a child who hides things in the tree. Jem, however, is less hesitant and insists that they leave it for a few days before taking it. When they return and the twine is still there, Jem finally takes it, and the two of them agree to consider everything they find in the knothole as their property. The second grade continues to be a grim experience for Scout, but Jem reassures her that school will improve as she gets older, just as it did for him. By the time Jem reaches the 6th grade, he finds that school is more enjoyable, although his interests sometimes take on quirky, odd forms. For example, he goes through what Scout calls an Egyptian period, in which he pretends to walk in the manner of ancient Egyptians. His fascination with Egypt seems absurd to Scout, but Jem is serious about it, arguing that Egyptians accomplished much, including the invention of toilet paper and the process of embalming, which he believes revolutionized modern life. Atticus, ever the voice of reason, tells Scout to focus on the facts and leave out the adjectives. The change of seasons is barely noticeable in Alabama. The mild autumn often blends into the following spring without a clear distinction. One day in October, Jem and Scout encounter the knothole again and discover something new: 2 small silk carvings. One is a boy and the other is a girl, dressed in crude, handmade clothing. At first, Scout is frightened and imagines some supernatural connection to the carvings, but Jem assures her that they are just carvings, and he is impressed by their quality. The carvings resemble Scout and Jem, with the boy figure mirroring Jem's appearance, and the girl figure resembling Scout, complete with bangs. Scout wonders who could have made them, and Jem speculates that it might be someone nearby, like Mr. Avery, but neither is convinced. The carvings make them feel as though someone is watching them, and they wonder if the mysterious person knows them in some way. The pair continues to find more gifts in the knothole, including a pack of chewing gum and a tarnished medal that turns out to be an old spelling contest prize from the county schools. However, it is a pocket watch, tarnished and no longer working, that becomes their most prized find. Jem even wonders if the watch is made of white gold, but Atticus advises him that it's likely worth only a few dollars if it were new. Nevertheless, Jem becomes increasingly attached to it and even expresses an interest in fixing it. The watch becomes a symbol of their growing curiosity about the mysterious person who is leaving them gifts. Jem becomes frustrated as the gifts in the knothole accumulate, and he wonders if they should write a letter to the person leaving them the items. Scout encourages him, and they compose a polite note of thanks. However, when they return to the tree the following day, they discover that the knothole has been filled with cement. Jem is devastated, and although he tries to hide his feelings, his disappointment is evident. He watches Mr. Nathan Radley, who fills the hole with cement, and asks him why he did it. Mr. Radley explains that the tree was dying, and Jem is left disillusioned, realizing that the tree was healthy, contrary to what Mr. Radley had said. The mystery of the gifts remains unresolved, but it marks a pivotal moment for Jem, who feels that his connection to the Radleys and to the tree has been severed. That night, Jem is visibly upset, and as he stands on the porch in deep thought, Scout notices that he has been crying. It is a significant moment for Jem, who has been struggling to make sense of the mysterious events, and it marks a shift in his understanding of the world around him. The knothole and the gifts it contained had been a symbol of a kind of connection with the unknown, but with the cement now blocking it, that connection is no longer possible. Jem's emotional reaction reveals his growing awareness of the complexities and disappointments that come with life in Macomb. Thank you for listening and joining us. If you enjoyed this audiobook summary, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more summaries that inspire and expand your mind. Drop a comment below to share which book you'd like us to summarize next. We'd love to hear your suggestions. We look forward to bringing you more valuable insights here on Audiobooks Alchemy. Until next time, keep learning and growing.